Is that Dodger game over yet? Because I really hope that it is.
Yeah, at least I get to wear all the same blue.
Therapy is free. Podcasts are free. Oh, that was wrong. Therapy is expensive. Podcasts are free.
All right.
Hold up. It's the Chargers squad. Everything Los Angeles Chargers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the City of Angels. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Chargers Squad Show, starting now.
Well, hello and welcome to the Locked On Chargers Squad Show, midweek edition. Pete Fox covering sports in LA dating back to 2007 for ESPN in LA and NBC Sports Radio, where I worked with Jim Daniels. He's been covering sports in LA since 2001. And of course, KB, Kenyon Parner, 10 years in the league, 3 rings. We're all a little punch drunk today after that Dodger game, which went way long, 18 innings, 6.5 hours. I was making well below minimum wage yesterday. Today was a little bit better.
You didn't get overtime?
No. My wife was like, why are we watching this still? And I was like, I'd be watching if I wasn't working. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, that was fun. Today on the Locked On Chargers Squad Show, we're going to get into the win against the Vikings, how big it was, how confident they are after that win. Is Justin Herbert having maybe just a little too much fun in his off time? I don't know. It's hard to argue, but we're going to talk about that as well. Today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So I don't think it would be appropriate to start with the Dodgers. We'll get there, but because you can't not talk about that game. Yeah. Fantastic win for the Dodgers, but at times frustrating as hell. Unlike the Chargers and Vikings, I thought that game was not frustrating at all. As a matter of fact, I thought it was easy, and the Chargers cruised. They sent what's his name? The Vikings quarterback.
Carson Wentz.
They sent Carson Wentz to retirement.
Yep.
And the night.
I read this morning.
So Carson Wentz is done, sadly, I guess, but not surprisingly. But here's the question. How big was that win? Khalil Mack said all wins are big, but bouncing back on a short week after the loss to the Colts was huge. And we've talked about that a little bit. But KB, when you come off a loss and then you back it up with a very nice win, and then you go into a game that you should win and build confidence, that stuff starts to snowball, does it not?
Absolutely. It's like you said, every game is important, right? Every win matters. But when you go from the Indianapolis Colts and what that game turned into and how it transpired, how it ended, and what it made you feel, not only as a player, but us as fans watching it, it just wasn't a good feeling. So you can only imagine what players and coaches feel. And then turning that around on a short week, you said it, Pete. You said sometimes a short week is better because you don't have time to linger in that area of defeat. So you got to move on. It has to be quick. And I think that came at a perfect time, right? And it was huge for the Chargers to get back on the right foot, especially coming into this Tennessee game and what you have after this, because it doesn't get easy. It actually picks up a couple notches once you get through this game. And so it was huge. It was very important, not only for, the mentality of the team, but you want to rebound and regroup after getting whooped the way that they got whooped.
So, Jim, you look at that Vikings win, and they did a lot of things, right? They ran the ball well, which we've been asking for a long time. Do you think that, to a certain extent, that was a eye-opening performance for Greg Roman, so he can go, yeah, maybe we should run the ball more?
I think they want to run the ball more. I think we kind of went into this season thinking that's what Greg Roman and Harbaugh wanted to do, was run the ball more. They know what they have in Herbie. They know what he's capable of. So let's see if we can't develop the run game more. Could we be any more pleased in what we saw out of Kamani Vidal? I mean, the way he's running, I heard somebody, I wish I could give them credit. I don't know who it was that said it. May have been, Romo or one of those guys, when they were describing how, I'm really reaching here now. how somebody ran. They said they ran angry, and that's what he looked like to me. He looked like he was running angry every time he got the ball, and I like that. I like that to an extent, but I have to say, especially in the week where we saw Cam Scatabo go down with a really nasty ankle injury, when you run that way, when you run angry and flailing like that all the time, I have to think that you're setting yourself up for a greater opportunity for injury. I love that run without, run like your hair's on fire kind of stuff, that kind of attitude. But, I think that, there are guys like Troy Polamalu that might have played the game a little bit longer if he didn't have that play with his hair on fire on every single play.
Not something you could change though, KB, right? It's
no. You can't. That's who you are as a player. That's your DNA. That's what makes you who you are. Cam, and not that this is what we're here to talk about, but that's who Scatabo is. That's what made him who he was at Arizona State, the underdog, the chip on his shoulder. That's what has New York on fire the way that it's on fire. Not only him, but Dart, the two of them. That if you take that away from that player is no longer that specific player. But get to Greg Roman and the expectation or what he thought he would do. That's why you go out and get Najee Harris, right? That's why you go out and draft Omarion Hampton, right? Because you had an expectation of being able to run the ball more often than what we did last season. And even last season, we didn't run it enough. You still had two capable guys in Gus Edwards and JK. We didn't see it enough, but I do believe that was the plan, because you don't go out and get a guy who's rushed for 1,000 yards for the past 4 seasons for no reasons. You don't go out and draft Omarion Hampton, who was one of the top backs in the class last year, for no reason. You go out and get these guys because you have a plan, and injuries come into play, and we just haven't seen it.
So the look at the schedule, as you just mentioned, doesn't get any easier after the Titans. It's the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. And sometimes that primetime spotlight is good for a team. It can, wake them up and say, hey, look, the Chargers should win this game rather comfortably against one of the worst offenses in the league. Charlie says, this ain't a trap game. So
it shouldn't be.
Right. And to agree with that point. But the question becomes, I think fans look at this differently than players, Kenyon. So you could share your experience. As Khalil Mack said, they're all big wins. Wins are big. It doesn't matter. So if the Chargers go out and comfortably beat the Titans after comfortably beating the Vikings, their confidence is going to be pretty much as high as you think it can be. And look, they started the season well. They could say, look, we went through a bad stretch because of some injuries, and now we're back. And we feel good about things going into a Sunday night game against the Steelers. So how much confidence can they gain from beating the Titans? As much as is out there?
You can gain a lot, in my opinion. As a player, going right back to what Khalil, every win matters, and every time you win, it's a confidence builder. Okay, we building something, we're getting there, we're moving, we're having progress. We're not confused in motion. You can have motion standing in one spot, but we're having progress in the same in the direction that we want to head in. So it's huge. It's imperative, because a loss to a team that you're supposed to beat can be just as harmful, right? You know what I'm saying? Because now that doubt starts to creep in as players, as a coaching staff. You start to question, well, what the hell are we doing? Like, what's going on? So a win is just as important, but a loss can have just as big of an impact on you as well.
Jim, it's probably a situation where fans look at it differently than players, right? Dramatically differently.
Yeah, completely different, but I have to say this is it's never bad to sharpen the fundamentals. And, when you're going in on a lesser opponent like that, I mean, if I'm coaching, that's the first place I'm going to start and say, look, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we take care of the ball. We're going to do the very fundamental things as perfectly as we can. And then let the game flow come to us and see what it is that we're going to exploit from play to play. I know the fans get anxious little times, sometimes, and they want to see the offense accelerated. I mean, let's start throwing the ball down the field right away. But, sometimes you need to set up the run in order to be successful with the pass. And so, patience is required in there. But I think, what can we learn from beating a team, a lesser opponent, somebody you're supposed to beat on paper, is do the fundamentals, do everything that that you do well, and do it perfectly every single time.
Yeah, coming off that Vikings game, the Chargers had the ball for 39 minutes. That was a huge stat in their favor. And the other one, 29 first downs. Now, That's not something we've seen in a while. And then you can flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. they only allowed, what was it, 34 yards rushing. The question I have for both of you, has the defense returned? Have they gotten back to who they were at the start of this season? Is the defense, I don't want to say 100% healthy, but are they healthy and considerably more confident than they have been through this stretch, Kenyon?
We're getting there, right? We're getting guys back. We're getting where we need to be. Ask me that question after we play Pittsburgh. I don't no, seriously, I don't want to. We did what we were supposed to do against a bad football team. The Minnesota Vikings are not a good football team, point blank, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have some great players, but as a collective, they're just not a good football team. And so the Chargers did exactly what they should have went out there and did. They went out there and dominated in the way that the time of possession on the ground. They did it. Ask me that question after we play a team that's on the same level as the Chargers. And then I can answer that question and give you a true, fair assessment of where we're at.
Jim, what do you think about where the defense is right now?
Where the defense is right now, well, I'm concerned about Derwin James, first of all.
Yes, I was going to add that on. And then I'm going to ask you the same question, knowing that Derwin James is not going to play and Tarheeb still is injured.
Right. I like the way that we played against a lesser opponent. We have the lesser opponent coming up here, and so that's a breathing room. I think I'm going to call that. I like the way that things are going. I mean, every once in a while, even in this last game, which went so well, I mean, we give up a 3rd and 18 once, and I'm like, you can't do that. You got to be able to get off the field in those situations. And I know that there is no perfect game, that nobody goes through the game and everything goes perfectly the way that they want it to. But those are the kind of things where you get gashed for a 3rd and 18 and a rushing play for 3rd and 18. You just can't let somebody scamper off and steal a first down from you, because that's what it is. You got somebody penned up at 3rd and 18. You got them. You got this. You're going to get off the field. You're going to get your guys the ball again, and you let them off the hook. And who knows how much more time and how many more downs you're going to surrender for that. So I like what we've got, but I have question marks about how we're going to fill holes going forward.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about Justin Herbert's week off the football field and some of the top performers in the game against the Vikings on the defensive side of the ball, and what we should be expecting from them in Tennessee against the Titans. It's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show Midweek Edition. Pete Fox, Kenyon Barner, and Jim Daniels. We'll be right back.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So, let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
That was easy for us. Thanks, Cody. The Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Pete Fox, Jim Daniels, and Kenyon Barner. Chargers getting ready to face the lowly Titans, coming off a nice, comfortable win over the Vikings. KB, Cam Hart, we know Cam Hart. We all like Cam Hart. Second year in the league, continues to play hard. But I look at his performance and go, I feel like he's getting better all the time. I mean, 3 pass defenses in that win. And, every time he's out there, I mean, yeah, he makes mistakes, but I feel like he's making fewer mistakes and more big plays. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong at all. I think not only Cam, but steal as well. These two dudes are really going back to last season. They really started to show themselves, really started to rise to the occasions, and we've seen that continuation through this season. I love what I'm seeing from these two young guys, stepping up in big time moments, making big time plays. Tari still coming up, making his presence felt in the run game. We talked about him throughout the beginning of the season, the way he's been playing. Cam making plays, covering guys. So this Chargers unit on defense is really sitting pretty when it comes to the youth, right? And how they're developing and how they're performing. These guys are playing like real veterans out there.
Jim, when you look at the line, we all like Tier Tart. He plays with a bit of an edge and a chip on his shoulder. Tui Pelotu could be the anchor of this defensive line, I think you could say. But Egboigbe has also been a guy that we are aware of. I think we don't talk about him a lot because we don't like saying his name. It's just tough to say. I practiced it a lot before this discussion because he had 2 sacks in that win against the Vikings. And I feel like he's a guy that has been impactful for this defensive line.
Yeah, I think this defensive line has had some success. I mean, especially talking about Tui, the success that he's had in getting to the quarterback. And I think that's probably definitely something that's underrated by this team. It's not being talked about. I mean, we watch all of the games and listen to the national play-by-play that goes with it, and I haven't heard anybody talking about the extraordinary play of the Chargers defensive line. I mean, they give somebody their props or their flowers when they get to the quarterback and they sack somebody, but nobody's talking about the Chargers defensive line and how they're making life uncomfortable for opposing quarterbacks. But you know what? The fact of the matter is that they are. And, and especially doing that with, and I guess you have to say that everybody has to deal with the injury bug. I mean, we've all got to do that. And sometimes it's week to week. And sometimes you've got to have guys that have got to step in and replace somebody for the entire season. But, I think so far, I think the Chargers defensive line is underrated.
Pete.
Yeah, go ahead.
You also got to throw in Owe in there. This guy's been with the team for a cup of coffee and a donut, but has made his presence felt in each and every single game. So them going out, trading for him and bringing him in, that's helped this defensive line tremendously because he stepped in and has been a guy. So all of those guys, the defensive line is really becoming very formidable, especially with getting Khalil Mack back.
Yeah, for sure. They're getting healthy, and that's big for both the offense and the defense. But the other question I'm curious about is, look, this is more of a fan question than a expert question, I think, because we all know that Jesse Minter didn't forget how to coach during those 3 or 4 losses where they looked like crap, but the fans thought he did. Right? You're like, get rid of that guy. Fire Minter. They were ready to fire Harbaugh too. But the question becomes, did Jesse Minter go through a slump in that situation through those games, or was it just the opposition? Was there a bit of a wake-up call for Jesse Minter? Is Jesse Minter back, or did he never go anywhere, Kenyon Barner?
I don't think he ever went anywhere. I think the opposition that we faced was just better on that particular day. I believe that, again, the defense has been on the field a hell of a lot this season. I believe it's fatigue setting in. Listen, football is a long, grueling season. And when you're starting off the season the way that the Chargers have started off, with expending as much energy that we're having to expend to stay in games or to stay above the water, it wears on you. And so I do believe that these coaches are putting in an obscene amount of hours in, probably longer than what they typically do, trying to figure out a recipe to stay afloat while everybody's getting back healthy. So I'm not going to say, he had a wake-up call. I just think we're getting guys back. I think we're getting guys back, and he's being able to call plays with guys in the right positions rather than having to figure out, okay, how can I use this guy in a position that I would typically use Khalil Mack in? Maybe the twist or the stunts that I would typically call with a healthy defensive line, or the blitzes I would call with Perriman back in action. Now I can't necessarily call that with Troy Dye. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that goes into this. So I just think we're getting to a place where his guys are in place, and now we're being able to see what this Minter defense was supposed to look like from the beginning.
So, Jim, they're projecting still out 2 to 4 weeks with an MCL sprain. And Derwin James, watch KB's face when I say this, a low ankle sprain. So that's
not
better.
not too worried about that. Not too worried about that.
Ankle sprain makes you cringe.
Yeah, look at that. They're tough. I'm telling you, especially our job is to run, cut, stop, twist, and turn. When that lower extremity is not moving like immobile like it's supposed to be, it's hard to play this game.
Yeah, so Derwin's got a low ankle sprain, and it couldn't happen at a better time than against the Titans, right, Jim?
Tony Jefferson is going to be the guy at least for a while. And, you have to look at the positive side that you dodged a bullet, that it's just a sprain, that it's not something worse. It could have easily been a whole lot worse and gone for the entire season. So, we're not dealing with that. But, to pile on what Kenyon was saying, I think you have to remember when you're screaming at fire the defensive coordinator, when you're firing that tweet off, you got to remember that, he's limited to who he has to run what he wants to run. And so this is what I'm stuck with this week. And maybe that's too hard a word, but I mean, these are the guys that I'm going to have to use to accomplish what I want to this week. And it may not be the way that I want to because I don't have Khalil Mack, but oh, look, now I've got Khalil Mack back. So now I can run things that I want to run. So I think that, in the patience part for the fans, you got to talk about, KB is spot on about the fact is you have to have the personnel to run what you want to run. And until then, you're running what you have to run, right?
Yeah. And look, we like Jasir Taylor. We like Nico Reed. We've liked him since the preseason. Those are the guys filling in for Derwin James and Tarheeb Still. So hopefully it gets those guys a little bit more experience. This one makes me cringe. Elijah Molden had a screw inserted into his hand. Is that less of a big deal than it sounds like, Kenyon?
Oh. Nah, I'm right with you. But here's the thing about playing defense, right? It's almost like defensive players don't get the same empathy and sympathy from not only just the fans, but trainers, right? It's like, oh, you got a screw in your hand? Well, let's club you up and let's get you out on the field. You don't need to catch the ball. You just need to protect it. So yeah, it's a big deal. Anytime that's essentially a surgery, right? I got to open you up to put a screw inside of you. So it's a big deal, but the way football, this football and the way that the way that it works and the way that they treat you, if they can club you up and get you out there and they say that you can't further do any more damage, you're going to be out there. So if that is the case with Elijah and they can club him up and secure that hand, I'm almost certain he'll be out there playing.
DZ brings up a good point. The Chargers have to be running out of walking boots.
You got to be running out of a lot. You got to be running out of training tables.
Anybody got an extra walking boot?
Man.
But they did run former LA safety Marcus May out there for a practice. I don't know much about Marcus May, but they have practiced him to see whether or not he might head to the practice squad and be available if need be against the Titans or down the road against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. So that's pretty much what's going on in the injury department. Tony Jefferson, though, is still questionable, Jim. And Ogbonia is on the IR, so we're not going to see him. Deshaun Hand is on the IR. And I think it is quite possible that the Omarion Hampton situation could be solved by Pittsburgh, right? That would be the end of the IR stay, right, Kenyon?
Yeah, 4 weeks. That should put him right. He should be. I mean, he may be working back as we speak. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure the kid's not just sitting still. They don't really let you, unless it's a significant hamstring injury, you're gonna be working and staying mobile. So if he's in shape and he's not in any pain and he has what he needs in that leg, the power output to be able to sustain playing a game of football, I would count on him being back at the end of the 4 as long as that hamstring is holding up.
I would count on the fact that a lot of Charger fans have become fans of Madison Beer. Did we know Madison Beer before this week? And Herbie showed up with her at a Laker game, and then last night at the Dodger game. Yep. They've been having some fun this week off.
Yes.
Sort of a week off, light week, if you will, because of the 10 days between the Thursday night game. So Herbie seems to be having fun, and Madison Beer is enjoying the good seats and the exciting football, and the exciting baseball and basketball. And is Herbie having a little too much fun, or look? I was thinking, okay, one of those 2 games is cool, but both of them, I mean, it's a little bit much, maybe. I don't know. It is all about appearances at the end of the day, but that comes with the territory, right, KB?
Yeah, listen, I have no issue with this at all. I played with D'Angelo Williams for the Carolina Panthers, and he had a famous saying, football's too serious to be serious. So I have no issue with Herbie going out with his lady, sitting front row, enjoying a game. It's not like he's out at a club. It's not like he's, doing at a strip club. He's doing nothing but going down, sitting down, and enjoying sports. Not only that, listen, few years back, you had the New York Giants out in Miami on a yacht doing who knows what. So he's not doing that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I have no issue with it. And listen, you have to have a life in this game of football. This game will consume you. This game eats up all of your time. So when you can find the time to separate, right, to take time away from the game and hit that reset button, you need it. This is I said it earlier, it's a long, grueling season, and it eats up all your time. It becomes who you are, what you are. It's you live, breathe, and sleep football. So anytime you have an opportunity to get away and just be, I have no issue with that at all.
But yeah, I guess my point, Jim, is that game went till like midnight last night.
That's a good. That's a good.
I'm sure Herbie's not leaving early like Mary Hart. Mary Hart didn't make it to the very end. Her husband did, or the guy that she's there with all the time. But
he'd probably catch more hell for leaving the game early than for going to the game at all, right? And this reference is going to date me here, but I mean, Herbie's out with his girl and he's going to a ball game. It could be worse. You could be Vernon Maxwell. Anybody that remembers Mad Max, Max used to go out into the club when he go to visiting cities. Let's see if I can get in a fight tonight. He wanted to fight people. He wanted to fight strangers in the bars when he was in visiting town. So, I mean, Herbie going to the baseball game, pretty okay with that.
Hey, who was the guy that you said that had special rules that like he needed to go out to be at his best on the field?
Oh, JPP.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, Jay. Listen. You got to let certain guys be. Like the Dennis Rodmans. You got to let them be them, right? To have them at their best. And listen, I don't have an issue if you show up and play on Sundays. I have zero issue with you doing whatever you need to do to show up and show out.
Yep.
Apparently, according to Hugo Boss 760, apparently Justin Bieber and his wife were sitting with Herbie and Madison. That's a fun little.
I saw that.
Right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, good on them. Look, I got no problem with it either. Maybe it's a little much, and it is all about optics. And at the end of the day, they're human beings too, and they deserve to be able to have fun. And when you live in LA and you've got those options out there, you're going to take advantage of them.
Take advantage of it.
He's one of the only guys in LA that can afford those seats.
Especially at that Dodger game.
That's what I'm saying. That World Series ticket on the road. Come on.
That's where Mary Hart deserves to be acknowledged as one of the greatest Dodger fans, because she is there for every home game. And my daughter was like, she doesn't know who Mary Hart is. And I was like, well, she used to do this show called Entertainment Tonight. And she's been around LA media for a long, long time. But to go to 81 games and sit there in that row, I mean, that is probably, I was trying to add it up, that's probably $250,000 season right there per seat.
Must be nice,
right?
Must be nice.
Like Mary Hart must be doing okay to be able to go to every home game and sit right there and not look like she enjoys 1 second of it. Did you notice her last night? She was like this. Come on, she's sleeping with her eyes open in the middle of an 18.
Maybe.
I fell asleep in the 16th inning too, so I get it. And she's a little bit older than I am, but that was craziness last night as the Dodgers win it 2-1. Who else did we think it would be? Anybody else besides Freddie Freeman? I thought maybe
Freddie
or Teoscar Hernandez. They kept walking Shohei, so it wasn't going to be him.
That was smart, very smart of them.
Right, and at the end of the day, my wife was saying, because she gets into the World Series, right? She was like, they should make a rule. That's not fair that they walk him every time. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea. I mean, Colin Cowherd was talking about that today. They should make a rule. You can't walk him 5 times. They intentionally walked him 4 times. The 5th walk was intentional. They didn't throw him a pitch in the strike zone. Yeah. But, the fact is, that is all about, and you could say this about a lot of coaches and the way they coach in the NFL. It's about job preservation for the Toronto Blue Jays manager. He's not going to get beat by Shohei. That's all it boils down to. He's like, yeah, we lost, but it wasn't at the hands of Shohei. It was Freddie, right? Which I don't think that surprised any of us. I was like, Freddie had so many, and he even said it after the game. I thought this was interesting, where he said, I just, all of my at-bats kept getting better, and he got one, and it was practically identical to a year ago in game 1 of the World Series when he hit the walk-off. Becomes the first guy in the history of baseball to hit 2 walk-off World Series home runs. That's amazing. That's witnessing history like Shohei did the other night when he had 10 Ks and 3 home runs, which I'm still getting criticized for because I didn't think it was the greatest performance I had ever seen. It was great. Don't get me wrong.
You get criticized for everything.
I know, right?
But that's nothing new, Humpy.
Comes with the territory. All right, it's the Locked On Chargers squad show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. We're going to take a break, come back, and we'll get into a little bit more about where the Chargers are with their running game and what Kenyon's assertions are for the special teams ability to improve, like where they need to go to get better to where he's happy and and it can complement them at the end of the day. It's the Locked On Chargers squad show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers squad show is brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all used them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes, but it's never happened to me before. Wrong. No, it's all happened to us before. When it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra help, a little extra support, if you will. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's handled by real doctors online. And if you are prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your front door. So visit Rougiette.com/LockedOnNFL and you'll get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNFL so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, the Locked On Chargers squad show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Our friend over here in the chat, I think it's DZ, is sharing some information that the Chargers have signed Marcus Williams as of 11 minutes ago. So there's that. And Kyle Pico. Familiar with Kyle Pico? That's a new one to me. So they are making moves for those of you guys that think they don't make enough moves and do anything. So they're constantly trying to improve, and that is good news for us as Charger fans. The other good news that Kamani Vidal played well. Stepped into the spotlight against the Vikings, and that's what we wanted, and that's what we got, and that was nice to see. Haskins is questionable, so we have to hope that Vidal can keep it up. Any reason to believe that this might be a different challenge for him, Kenyon, against the Titans?
This week, no, I don't. I don't think that. I think this week could look very similar if given the opportunity, right? That's what it's about, is are you going to give this guy the amount of carries that he needs to get going and to put numbers up? It really depends on the flow of the game and how Greg Roman calls it. Do I believe this is something that can repeat itself this week? I do. I think the Titans are one of the worst. I don't think the numbers would say that the Titans are one of either at the bottom or dead last in a lot of categories when it comes to playing a game of football this season. So if we can get the game called right and we can get a balanced attack, I do believe that Kamani Vidal can go out there and have himself a day.
How about Jaret Patterson? Do we want to see more? 11 carries. That was a nice day for him, when a guy that hasn't played in a few years, 30 yards. I think it'd be a good opportunity, right, Jim, to give him the ball a few more times.
Absolutely. And this is going to be an opportunity to do that too, because we're, I don't know, maybe scraping the bottom of the barrel here. I don't want to be too disrespectful to the Titans. I know they're trying as hard as they can, but this is an opportunity to try other things. So, to your point, now is exactly the time to do that.
Hugo Boss says he hears through the grapevine that Derwin James injury is not too serious, won't really miss any time. So that is good news. Hopefully you're right there. And DZ is like, Kyle Pico is the 9th Titan to join this team under Harbaugh. He loves ex-Titans that were under Vrabel. Okay. That's
not only that, with Marcus, that's ex-Baltimore Raven, out there with his brother. So, and I really like that signing. I do. I like that a lot. I think if he could work himself into the rotation, I think him and Derwin can be something dangerous back there because Marcus can play the game.
Rookie RJ Mickens had an interception. He's obviously a guy that's getting time and looking good and probably going to get more time with these injuries, at least this week. Does he seem like a guy to you, the KB, that is, improving, stepping in the right direction, making more good plays than bad plays?
When you look at these young guys, and I said it earlier, I think you have to give credit to this coaching staff because these guys are developing. And it's hard to get on the field and play in the NFL, especially as a young guy. Unless you're one of those first round, second round guys, there's kind of a learning curve. And these guys are picking it up and putting it down and putting it on display in big time moments. And I do believe that he's headed in the right direction and making progress. Again, this young nucleus is something special on this Charger route. If they can keep this group together along with Elijah Molden, and I think this could really be something special for years to come.
Yeah, a lot of people are commenting and liking the performance, and I agree. I feel like Benjamin St. Juste gets into plays and makes things happen and breaks up plays. He led the Chargers in tackles against the Vikings, 7 solo, and that was all of his tackles by himself. So a nice performance from him. Cam Hart had 4, Deion Henley 4 total, 1 solo. So the defense, they were great last year as far as the amount. They were the best in point differential in the league. So I think we came in with high expectations, and the season started with us looking at the defense going, it's going to be all about the defense. And as goes the defense, goes the team, really, when you get right down to it. But the offensive line has been a bigger issue, and we have to understand that they're still trying to get healthy. Getting Joe Alt back is huge. But ultimately they still have to get better. Mike is still not happy with Bozeman. Is a Matador Ole style blocker. So he also believes that Becton is a bust. I don't know about that. I feel like Becton just injury prone because he's a little bit older, or what's up with Becton, KB?
Listen, I'm with everybody else, and you never want to talk about a player's injuries but I would be lying if it didn't bother me that every game that I watch, it's like musical chairs, and it's with my guy Becton. He's in and out of the lineup. He's in for a possession, out for the next couple of possessions, then he's back in. I would be lying if I say that didn't bother me as a player. Now, again, you don't know what he's dealing with. You don't know what he's going through, so I can't really speak to that. But just from looking at it, I'm like, sheesh, bro, can you stay in the game? Like, come on, like, we need you. Like, stay in the game. If it's not, again, we don't know what exactly he's dealing with and why he's consistently coming out. It could be something serious. Here's the thing about playing in the NFL. Oftentimes we don't know about guys' injuries, and some guys are dealing with serious injuries that as soon as the season ends, they're going to have surgery. So it could be that case with Becton. We don't know. But if it's not that case, bro, stay in the game. Everybody getting nicks and bruises and banged up. The only time you're healthy in football is the first day you play football. After that, everybody's trying to recover and trying to get back to baseline, but you never will. So if you can, bro, please just stay in the game, please.
Jim, isn't it a situation with the offensive line where you want to not know their name? They want to be seen and not heard. And you just want to not, like, you don't want to have to talk about the offensive line as much as we do, right? We know these guys way too well.
And know them like we know our kids.
For the run.
Yeah, before when we were just fans, you just waiting for that hole to magically open up. You don't know who's going to open up the hole or why the hole is going to open up. It's just, why doesn't the hole open up anymore? Well, it's because Mekhi Becton is over there with an ice pack on his knee. Yeah. We're knowing these players all too well, but we're also getting to know a new tight end. I don't know if this is on your list today, Pete.
Of course it is.
Okay, all right.
Just saving it for later. Go ahead. We got a few minutes. Yeah,
I love the fact that we started the season, talking about, okay, is it going to be Disley? Which one of these guys we going to go for? And it's like, now both of them have been the forgotten men, and it's all about Aronde now. And I can't believe the way he has performed out of nowhere. How has he leapt in front? I mean, is it as simple, KB, as you produce and you're going to see the ball more? Is it just that simple?
This is a performance-based business, and I'll go back to that. What game was against? Why am I drawing a blank here? Because I don't want to get this wrong. Miami, that big game that he had, that was the catapult for him. It's like, it's eye-opening. Oh wow, hold on now, wait a second. Even though it was in a loss, it's still, this dude performed at a high level. I don't know if the Chargers have had a tight end put up the numbers that he put up in that game since Antonio Gates. So to see that,
it was the Colts. You're right. They beat Miami, but it was against the Colts that he had that breakout game. Yeah.
And so to see that, and then now it's becoming a consistent thing. And not only are the coaches seeing it, but when you look at Aronde play, you look at his mentality, you look at his demeanor when the ball is in his hand, and after he catches the ball. I even go to the penalty that he got in the end zone when he got the what is it, unsportsmanlike conduct for taunting. Like, that's mentality being developed of like, nah, I'm that dude, I'm that guy. So it's absolutely, if you perform and you show, I'm gonna keep coming back to you, not only as a coaching staff, but again, going to Justin Herbert, having trust, somebody that he can rely on, and now I have another outlet outside of Ladd, outside of Keenan, outside of Quentin. Now I can go to my tight end.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, Jim, is that, the more comfortable Herbie gets with him, the more he's going to get the ball. I mean, it is very simple to connect those dots, to draw that line right there. It's like, you're going to catch the ball, you're going to get big chunks for me. Here you go. Do it more. I want to see that even more from McConkey. I've been saying it all season. I feel like Keenan Allen is, if you were to look at who's the biggest safety blanket, I think Keenan Allen is number one, right? That's if I need 8 to 12, I'm going to Keenan. And then, but not far behind is Gadsden. He's like right there. And we've talked about this a lot. Find ways to get the ball in playmakers' hands. And you can do that where Gadsden, he's bigger than I thought, right? Like, when you look at him, he doesn't look 6'5", 250 because he's just ripped, right? So he can block and roll off that block and be wide open. And that's what Herbie likes, because Herbie's scrambling for his life most of the time. So he's got that guy that's right there, a big target. He's going to get him the ball. And I think that's going to lead to Gadsden continuing to grow.
Have you guys looked at our receivers numbers for this season? I'm just looking at them now. I'll read them off. You got Keenan Allen with 48 receptions, 479 yards. Ladd McConkey with 43 receptions, 468 yards. Quentin Johnston, 28 reception with 407. And right there, you have Aronde Gaston with 27 with 380. Those numbers for a receiving core is absolutely, you don't see that. You don't see that. That is absolutely 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. That is insane. Like, this is a luxury. Like, this is blowing my mind. And speaking of Keenan Allen, we can look for him to break that reception record probably this weekend. Because I think the number was 52. He's 4 catches away. So we can probably look for that this weekend.
It feels like
that is crazy.
The future was dark a couple of weeks ago, and nice win against the Vikings. Should be the same against the Titans this weekend. And all of a sudden we can forget about the Colts and move on. And Omarion will be back hopefully against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, a big game. And it could roll for the Chargers, at least to be interesting and be competitive if you get Omarion Hampton back in there. And that, like what you just pointed out, KB, with the numbers for the receivers. Yeah, I mean, those are remarkable numbers for that many guys. If you can just put in an effective running game, that's going to be tough to beat. And I don't mean to be a homer, because the line is still going to be an issue. But, they've shown that they can run the ball when given the opportunity. I just hope, we've talked about this before a lot, if Greg Roman will just do what he's supposed to do, what he is prone to do, and that's run the ball, give the ball to the running back, right? It should be fine, Jim. I mean, just give him the ball more.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a great week to do that too. I think they need to probably try and exercise the run more, and maybe try a few more things this week where you have that opportunity. I don't want to ever look past somebody. This is an NFL football team in any given Sunday, right, KB?
Yes,
so we got to make sure that we're focused and taking care of our business and put these guys away, because right now for me the only really slip up on the season is that Giant game. And I know we ran into a rookie quarterback and he was all pumped up, and you had Cam Scatterbo who was doing great things for them, and they were on the way. That was the beginning of this team turning things around for themselves. And so that's really the only slip up. You're losing to the Colts. I don't have a problem with that at all. That's one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in all of football right now. So, I don't have a problem with that one at all. Again, the only mistake I think is the Giant game. And now make sure you don't look past this Tennessee team here and start licking your chops for that Sunday night game against the Steelers too soon.
Well, I think that New York game, right, that will linger when it comes to quote unquote teams that you're supposed to beat, because of that mishap, because of that lapse in judgment. Now, when it comes across, when you come to a Las Vegas, I keep wanting to say Oakland, it's just a habit. When you come to the Las Vegas Raiders, when you come to the Titans, when you come to these teams that you're supposed, now you think back, listen, we've been here before, guys. We were supposed to beat the Giants and we didn't. So let's not have that happen again. So I think that Giant game will be a consistent reminder throughout the remainder of the season, facing those lesser talented teams.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to look at the Titans numbers going into this game. But again, we've talked about the Steelers, and after that, it's the Jags, which that's a winnable game for this Charger team. I hate to look, I know it's sacrilegious for the players to look that far ahead, but we can do it.
I was just about to say, we can do it. We're not playing.
Well, we do. Thank you. All right, it's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Pete Fox, Kenyon Barner, and Jim Daniels. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. Just asked Justin Herbert and Madison Beer. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. That is a cool flexibility there that you don't see all that often. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. So if you are into making whatever sport you're into, NFL, NBA, NHL, or the Major League Baseball World Series, right now FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel. Again, download the FanDuel app at FanDuel.com, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. The Chargers will be in Nashville, commonly referred to as Nash Vegas.
Nash Vegas.
Yeah. It's a fun city. There's a lot going on there, not far from where Nissan Stadium is, right there on Lower Broad, walking distance. Is this a city, KB? Did you play in Nashville? You did, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Played out there a few times.
Is it a city that distracts you like South Beach or LA or New York?
Well, we gotta exclude South Beach altogether.
Too far from?
No. South Beach is its own world. Like
Hey, what about New Orleans? Is that a distracting
its
city?
own world. Okay, those two cities. We kind of gotta put in Pandora's box, close it, throw it away, don't open it. But Nashville is a city, like, depending on what you're into. I'm a country music guy. Yeah. I love country music. So I love the line dance and I love the bars. I love it. Absolutely. Look, any excuse to put on some good cowboy boots, a leather belt and a hat. it's a great excuse to have. But it can be if that's what you're into. If that's not your style, if music isn't your thing like that, then you go to Nashville and you're just good. But but with football, it's much different than the NBA and with baseball. The NBA players and baseball players can move around. They can move around the cabin as freely as they want to. They can go do what they want to do. There's no curfew. Just get here. Make sure you're here to show up and play in this game. Football is completely different. We're actually treated like children. And I don't know why. Maybe I don't know why. But we have curfews in place. We have police on our floor that are checking our rooms to make sure we're in our room at bedtime. So it's a little bit different, and it's somewhat harder depending on who you are. As we talked about earlier, certain players get different. They got a longer leash. But it's not as easy to go out and be distracted as an NFL player.
Yeah. Have you been to Nashville, Jim?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fun city.
Same.
Yeah. Great answer, Jim. Great answer.
Verizon. I was going to say, we have a rental house there, so we're there at least once a year, and my dad lives not far from Lower Broad. So I've definitely been down there, but I'm at a point, and I'd like to think that some of the guys that are, not in their mid to early 20s, when they get to Nashville, they're like, you go to Lower Broad once or twice, you're like, oh, that's cool, I did it, and I'm good, because there's a lot of other cool things to do in Nashville for sure. But Lower Broad, I mean, that is a young man's game. So you think some of the veterans are like, I'm gonna pass on that, because that's like Vegas, baby. That's why they call it Nash Vegas. It is out of control down there.
Yeah. Well, Pete, sometimes the old guys need to be made to feel young too.
Well, there you go. Could be invigorating to a certain extent.
What I'm saying?
Well, this Titan defense is porous. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth in the league with regard to amount of yards allowed, 28-67. So the Chargers should be able to rack up some good yards against this defense, both on the ground and through the air. And the Chargers, on the other hand, down on the lower half of this, which is good, 2,375 yards. So the Titans are definitely rebuilding. You know what else I heard, which was interesting? The Titans said they have an open door policy, or, as far as people coming in and trying to make deals, they are willing to talk, right? We've talked about that a lot. Like, the Chargers need some help here and there. Where can they find it? Well, Tennessee's a place, supposedly, according to the Titans, that they could find it. And maybe this game might open our eyes to somebody. Hey, let's make a deal for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He played well against us, etc. They said there's a couple of guys that are not available. Of course, Cam Ward being top of that list. Is that a situation where the Titans could be like auditioning? And you've talked about that before, KB, where, the coaches give you a little bit of extra time so the other team can see you. Could we see that for the Titans today? Maybe we're, as DZ mentioned in the chat, there's a lot of deals going back and forth between the Titans and the Chargers. Could we see more Titans on this Charger team after this game?
I think this is two sides to this coin, right? If I'm the Chargers and I know I'm looking for someone or something to help solidify this roster and revive it, give life to it, and this is a team that's willing to will and deal players, now what better way to scout players and actually seeing them play against the guys that I currently have? So if I'm looking at somebody on the offensive line on the Titans side of the ball, I want to see how they perform against Khalil Mack. I want to see how they perform against these guys that we have up front. Okay, well, I like him. The guys that we have struggle against these guys. He performed pretty well. So maybe we do dive in there and say, okay, what are you willing to take, or what do you want for this guy? Whether or not, I think the Titans, see, sometimes I have to will myself back in, right? We don't like to say it, but sometimes teams position themselves, right? Position themselves for a better draft position. And I'm not saying the Titans are in that phase, and that's what they're doing right now. But
Thank you.
I don't know what you said. I don't know why I said but I think you said what I thought you said, which thinks we're on the same page. But you could. This could very well be a game where we see some guys maybe next week or the week after we see some Tennessee Titans on the Chargers roster.
Jim, this Titans defense, as I said, 5th worst in the league. The Chargers offense, 4th best in the league. If the Chargers went out and just ran up the score in this game and put up big numbers, would you be like, all right, that's what we expected? Or like, yes, that's good. That's what we need. That feels comfortable.
I'm going to go with the second answer, Monty, because I like the afterglow, if you will, that comes with, a quarterback.
Rougier.com, baby, afterglow. Rougier.com.
Yeah, I like a receiver that's got 3 digits for his receiving yards, and I like a quarterback whose total yards starts with a 3 for 300. Yeah, that's about feel good stuff. I don't think you're disrespecting your opponent so much as you are pumping up your guys and letting them eat, letting them get theirs, and letting them enjoy success, because that's only going to pay dividends going forward. You're just going to be more pumped up and that much better when you're playing the Steelers or whoever it is in the next game. So yeah, I like the idea of taking full advantage of exercising the roster and getting everybody involved, get as many people in the end zone as possible.
Everybody eats, right, KB? Everybody eats. Like 300 plus for Herbie, 15 touches for both the running backs, each at a minimum. How about 3 100-yard receivers? That'd be huge.
That would be beautiful. That would be a beautiful thing. And we're capable of it.
Exactly. All right, that's gonna do it for us. We'll talk Sunday when the game is over. It's the Locked On Chargers squad show. Midweek edition. Thanks for joining us. He's Kenyon Barner, 10 years in the league and 3 rings, and Jim Daniels, covered sports in LA since 2001 and IMP Fox. We appreciate you guys joining us here midweek, and we'll be here right after the game. Don't forget to check out Daniel and David Monday through Friday with the Locked On Daily Chargers podcast, an in-depth look as to what's going on in the Charger universe. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk on Sunday. Have a good one.